Sounds like a harmonica. Welcome D-Lab, everybody. I've got a real treat in store for you in this video. Behind me is a 1948 Montgomery Ward's record player. It's single speed, 78 RPM. A co-worker was supposed to have brought it to me like 2 years ago to repair. Well, he finally got around to it, and now they want it repaired by Christmas so that the family can enjoy these old recordings again. But here is the real story. These recordings were custom made by this guy's wife's grandmother, okay? Back, I guess, in around 1925, a door-to-door salesman came around from Presto, okay? So Presto made these LP recording systems, okay? So he sold them one of the units, and she made a bunch of recordings, okay? And those recordings are right behind me on those records. I'll show you a close-up of that in a minute, okay? So I guess at the time the grandmother was around 6 years old, okay? So the records have a handwritten date of 1930 on them. There's some family history, some singing, and other things that we'll find out later on in the video, once I get this thing working, okay? So the immediate family would just love to be able to hear her voice again. As a matter of fact, her sister still survives. So I'm going to make this happen for these guys for Christmas. It's going to be really cool. Currently, the player simply hums. There's no audio whatsoever. Let me show you the symptoms, and then we're going to fix it. I'm going to bring the record player up on a Variac. Still spins. Here is one of the recording discs. Okay, dated December 30th, 1930. Okay, so let's let this thing warm up. I'll show you what's going on. Takes a little bit. This is a 2-tube unit. There's about 100 volts. I'm watching my amperage, make sure nothing goes wacko. Okay, we don't want to burn it up. Okay, I got the volume all the way up. They told me all they got out of it was hum. There it is. So I'm tapping the needle, and there's nothing. You should hear the tap of my finger on the needle, okay? Alright, I don't want to damage it, so we are going to open the unit, inspect it, take a look at this cartridge, see what we got to do to make it sing again. I got the screws out, lift up the old platform here. No mice in there, that's a good sign. Alright, gotta be careful. Alright, there's the bottom side of her. 2 tubes, they got it identified as a 50B5 and a 35W4. Okay, let's pop the bottom off the chassis and see what's inside there. I bet you we're going to see some pretty interesting things. I do not see a model number on this record player anywhere. So, anyway. Let's pop the shield. So I've zoomed in the best I can so you can see what's up. I've popped out the screws. Okay. Here's the main filter cap. 80 microfarad and 220s at, looks like 150 volts. Okay. We know that's going to be toast. You're seeing this when I see it, guys. There she goes. Oh yeah. Oh, look at there. Looks like some melted Kraft caramels in there. Interesting. Let me give you a close-up of these caps. We've had some serious leakage going on here. Alright, there's a close-up of the chassis. You can see all the goo coming out of the end of those wax caps. It's pretty amazing that this thing even produced any kind of audio, including the hum. Alright? So the game plan is we're going to get the amplifier working first, meaning all the wax caps gotta go. I'm sure some of these resistors are way out of tolerance. We'll verify all the components on this chassis since there aren't too many of them, and obviously change out the main filter cap. So if you look at this filter cap, that big old monster Takes up a lot of room top side, but not much room bottom side, so I believe that I can completely recap it underneath. Alright, one thing I need to point out, you do not see a power transformer here, do you? This is a hot chassis design. The 120 coming in is dropped across the filaments of these two tubes, and then back here they've got a resistor in a cage, okay? So you got to be kind of careful when you work on these things. They are a shock hazard. As I stated, rather than putting one of these big can caps on here, I'm going to land a terminal board, and we're going to use these individual 200 volt electrolytic caps. Alright, there's the new power supply filter caps installed with the terminal board. Remember, this was a 3-section cap. Those have been cut off and isolated. The third section is over here, which was the cathode cap going to the audio output tube. So there's no reason for that to be over here. Okay, I allowed plenty of clearance with this terminal board for the shield to reinstall. I did have to lift this cap, but I'm going to be changing all the wax caps anyway. So we'll do that, and then we'll fire it up, and I'll inject a tone and see if it amplifies. Here we go, gooey wax cap replacement time. My best advice, if you do something like this, change one cap at a time, right? Because as you can see, like down in here, you really can't tell where the leads are going. If you're going to screw this thing up, this is when it's going to happen. So I'm going to chip out this wax residue so I can see exactly where these leads are going. There's quite a bit around this lead. I believe that's the one that exits this cap. This stuff is usually kind of pliable, but this stuff's pretty tough. Kind of like cement. Alright, I've chipped out enough where I can tell what's what. This guy here dumped all of his insides out, but you can see that lead going clearly into that cap, and this one going clearly into this cap. So I'm going to start with this one, and he chases over here and appears to go to the back of the power switch. So we'll get these changed. Alright, get this one loose. You can look right inside and see some of the, I guess, aluminum foil, however they made it. Pretty interesting. There's my lead cut there. I left a lead down here so I know where it goes. And yep, it goes to the back of the power switch. Cap job complete. Got the Mallories installed. The old waxers are history. Then you want to make sure that the new filter caps are not going to chassis ground. They float. Okay, the old cap was on an insulator. So make absolutely sure that that's not grounded, and of course make sure you have no shorts on your new filter cap installation. So at this point, I'm ready to fire the amp up and inject a tone and see if we can get anything through it. I sure hope so. Alright, we're using another variac. Bring her up nice and slow. Watch my current. Have to lube that motor up, huh? Alright, there's about 100 volts applied. There's our hum. There's my volume. Now the volume actually turns down the hum. That's a good sign. But tapping on the needle, I get nothing. Alright? So let's go ahead and disconnect the cartridge, and I'll inject an audio tone and see if it amplifies. I got my leader audio generator hooked up, and sure enough, the amplifier is working. So we obviously have a bad cartridge. So that'll be the next task, is seeing if I can either find one or find a way to substitute in something that'll work. So under here is the original cartridge. I already have it disconnected since we just injected audio in its place. So let's get him out of here and see what it is. Just screws in. This is a really monster of a cartridge, guys. It's just huge. There we go. There it is. Old static. It says use the N43 needles. They go in with this little funny set screw. Kind of cool. I'm assuming that's the cartridge number, maybe a 26, built in 4 of 57. Alright, I'm going to look these up online and see if there's any chance of getting one. Alright, so for the fun of it, I've got my Heathkit signal tracer here. I've connected to the cartridge, so if I move the needle, you should hear something. Pretty much nothing. Yep, not good. Let me put a known good cartridge on here. We'll do the same thing. Alright, this is a little cartridge out of a Newcomb record player. You can hear that audio just fine. Alright, let me do a little research on this cartridge, and if it's not available, we'll put this one in. Well, got some bad news and some good news. Bad news is if you try to buy one of these old static cartridges, you're pretty much out of luck. All I could find online were used units with no guarantee. They wanted $150 for this stupid thing, right? So I got looking a little closer at this Newcomb cartridge. The holes actually line right up. So this should screw right into that tone arm head and it should work. It may be a little bit of an issue with the amount of weight that's being applied to the record because this thing's pretty heavy. But let's go ahead and install this. It actually has an LP and a 78 needle. So this was designed to operate on one of these type of amplifiers. This is a ceramic cartridge. It's got high output. I bet you it'll work. Well, looky there. She bolts right into place. No modifications, okay? Issue is these wires are not going to quite make it. So I'm going to go ahead and put in new wiring. Nice little twisted pair of maybe some 22 gauge wiring. Get it hooked into the amplifier and test it. So more good news. I found that there was slack in the signal line, so I was able to pull it through the arm, connect direct to the new Newcomb cartridge. Ready to test. All right, everybody, moment of truth. Got some volume. And I can hear my finger on that needle, which means it should be able to play the record. And remember, these are recorded records, so there's probably not a lot of gain to them, but we'll see. Well, there she is. So you can see we got a lot more audio gain than what the record is producing. If you put a standard 78 on here, I bet you it'd play great. I'm going to see if I can find one. But the cool thing is they're going to be able to listen to their grandmother once again. Alright, I was able to find this old 78 in my collection. So we'll see how she does. Oh yeah, see a lot more volume on a pre-recorded album. So I think we're in good shape. Let's check the tone. Oh yeah, she's singing away. I can't keep it going because I'll probably get popped for copyright. But guys, look, you can take those old static cartridges, pitch them, throw on the $20 Newcomb that you can still purchase, and play your old 78s. Aren't these people going to be thrilled? Alright, here's another one of her recorded records. Sounds like a harmonica. Alright, so I misspoke. I thought maybe that traveling sales guy was from Presto, but this says Victor sales points. So this must have been one of the old RCA Victors where they like talking to a horn, because this is the actual sales guy talking about it.
It's Victor Electro-voice, 1931. Is the lately perfected tone arm and pickup, developed after long and diligent research in the famous Victor laboratories in Canada. By means of this,
So it was from a Victor recorder. How cool is that? Now it's time to clean it up. I'm going to get the caramel out of the bottom shield plate, and I'm going to get in here and clean and lube the motor. You see a little felt there, there's a bearing behind it. There's probably one up above, and it's got an idler wheel, so I want to clean all that, make sure she's running smooth. But she's really coming along, guys. I think this family is going to be like thrilled. I popped a little cotter pin underneath. So now we can get some fresh lube on this shaft. It's really gummy. And clean this idler wheel and lube up the upper bearing. I also noticed a little bit of this white dust, which is probably some fraying of this metal on the tone arm, so I'm going to lube that up too. So that was a big success. Now the family could listen to old 78s over the holiday, or actually listen to their grandmother again for Christmas from D-Lab Electronics. Hope you enjoyed.